breaking news now. In a vote just minutes ago, as expected, the House has voted to repeal President Obama's health care reform, which passed in March. However, the Senate is not expected to do the same. Debate on repealing the law was originally set for last week, but after the shooting of Arizona Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, it was postponed until today. Now, the rhetoric has been toned down a bit since, but lawmakers on both sides remain as passionate as ever.
But it is wrong to suggest that the only way to reform health care is to bankrupt our nation with this albatross.
I'm not questioning your intent or sincerity, but you just were simply wrong.
A new poll shows fewer Americans now believe health care reform is a bad idea compared to June of 2009. Still, at least one local doctor is watching Capitol Hill very closely on this, and Holly Samuels live and on your side with his story. Holly?
Mark, Dr. Don Wynn is a pediatric urologist, but he speaks out on behalf of Doctors for America, where he works as a state director. He says today's vote is merely symbolic to him because in the end it will come up against the Democrat-controlled Senate and the veto pen at the White House. Still, he says the idea of the repeal to him is disappointing.
To repeal something like that amounts to an act of cruelty that anyone of the right mind in this society would recognize.
Dr. Don Wynn says he sees on a daily basis the effect the new health care reform has had and will have for American patients.
How would you feel about going back to the days of practicing of the insurance companies dropping you because of a pre-existing condition?
Wynn says in the end, the bill is about patient care. And he says words like job killing thrown into the mix by conservatives are flat out lies.
You can repeat it over and over, but if it's not the truth, it ain't going to become truth. As more and more people get access to health care, the healthcare field would expand,
leading to hiring in not only the health insurance industry, but also in hospitals and doctors' offices. Still, most Republicans have contended that repealing the healthcare reform law is what voters want. That's something Wynn denies.
If you look at the polls, that's not what the voters want. Physicians who spoke out against this, they are guilty of an act of betrayal, and they're betraying their oath, essentially.
But many Ohio state leaders disagree. In fact, newly elected Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine filed a motion just yesterday to join the lawsuit against the federal government, which questions the constitutionality of the health care reform. Reporting live, I'm Holly Samuels, 2 News on your side.